And here we go for day 6 of the Run Against Violence Virtual Team Challenge. We've got 180 teams moving from Broken Hill to Sydney virtually, and we are very, very close to having the first teams cross the finish line in Sydney. How amazing is that? So we'll take a look at that tonight. We've also got some statistics. Now that registrations are closed, we can start looking at who has come, where they've come from, the makeup of this year's Run Against Violence participants. And it's pretty interesting data to look at. And then also after that, in about 3 minutes' time, I'm going to play for you an interview that I did earlier today with Oliver White from NatCan's Youth Speaks Out Council. It's a youth council that works in conjunction with NatCan to ensure that young people have a voice on issues that affect them. And he has some really interesting insights around how it is that we need to be engaging with young people, the value that young people can bring to projects, to the things that we're working on and the big decisions that we're making, and how we can go about doing that quite effectively. But first, how about you? How are your legs or your arms, if you're one of our wheelchair athletes, feeling right now? It's already at day 6. The first week is nearly through and not quite anywhere within sight of halfway yet, but I know the muscles start hurting. So make sure that you're being really kind to yourself during this period. 19 days is a long way to go, and to be exercising every day is possibly a challenge that your body is not used to. So if you start feeling aches and pains, make sure that you're eating well, that you're resting well, stretching, drinking lots of water. All those basic maintenance things are really, really important to ensuring your well-being. So make sure you look after yourself. If you need any tips, please ask in the Facebook group, or you can put comments on here, because there's lots and lots of experience out there in our community. People who have been through this many times, and they're very keen to always share their knowledge. You've got lots of support around you to help you get to that finish line with a very big smile on your face for all the amazing things that you've achieved, and also with that great sense of accomplishment of doing something that a lot of people feel is quite challenging and borderline impossible to do. Excellent. So let's get on with it. Where have all of you lot come from? I've been able to dive into the statistics on our participants this year. If you missed it a few days ago, I showed the participant heat map. So all the red dots on this map indicate you lot, or where the participants have come from. Obviously, the larger the red dots, the more concentration of participants. But we can also break that down by region. And this is a really interesting information, because there's something very special about RAV. And that is that the bulk of our participants actually come from regional areas. Around 70% are outside of major metropolitan. And you can see that in this diagram. That Mount Gambier has entered the most participants with 61, Port Macquarie 51, Parkes, Dubbo, Orange, Atherton, speaking to them very soon on one of these sessions, Springwood in the Blue Mountains, Millicent down in the again down on the Limestone Coast. So it's amazing to see our regional representation. I think it's something very special about this event. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're about to see the first teams cross the finish line. Incredible, isn't it, that they've got there already? They will definitely, I don't think either team is going to allow the other to cross unaccompanied within the next 24 hours, shall I say. And this is what the map is currently looking like. We jump on in here. Just zoom in a moment. There we go. You can see these two teams who've got Friends of the Swiss Mountain Goat are out in front currently at 1,210 kilometres. So they've just passed through Lyndon as of the update at 5 o'clock. And gosh, I don't know if they have got plans for it, but I suspect If I was them, I think I'd be staying up a bit late tonight and getting those final Ks done and getting across that finish line, getting through Sydney and out to the harbour. Because right behind them, only 30 kilometres behind them, is this lot, Boat Crew 2, and they do not go down without a fight. It's roughly about 30 kilometres between the two of them, and it is a downhill course from from where they are at Katoomba all the way back down into Sydney. They'll start seeing the Centrepoint Tower at Wentworth Falls, which is only a few kilometres ahead of them. And I know Boat Crew 2, when they get the wind and see that finish line, they are going to hit it hard. So good luck, guys. It'll be interesting to see which lot of you folks ends up crossing that finish line first, because they're way ahead, way ahead of the rest of us. So it's all good for them. Now, who's way back here at Millthorpe? Oh, Knox Ravers. Well done, Sheena's team. That is brilliant. Coming in strong. Millthorpe's a great little town, beautiful little restaurants and cafes. So feel free to stop there and have a break. And then and head off to Blaney then. It's a long trudge from Blaney and then back into Bathurst, I can tell you. I had to do that in from Orange to Bathurst. I think it was 81 kilometres in one day, but I had very bad blisters and swelling in my lower legs. Plus we did a school visit on the way at Millthorpe. So it was a long and painful day. I think I was on my feet for 21 hours that day to get the kilometres done. So hopefully, Knox Ravers, you will do it with a little bit more grace and enjoy the journey that bit more than I had the opportunity to do. Enjoy the surrounds, I mean. Excellent. Fantastic. So here we go. Let's get on with this interview with Oliver White. Now, he was meant to be here live, but his flight got changed. So I pre-recorded this interview with him. We spoke earlier in today and recorded the interview. The sound quality is pretty good. The video gets a bit dodgy. He was at Brisbane Airport and the reception wasn't great, but I think most of the most important messages you can hear clearly. So there's lots and lots to learn from this interview. It goes for about, I think it's about 20 odd minutes. Welcome, Oliver. I will just let it play. I'll be here to make comments and that sort of thing along the way. So if you've got questions or anything like that, I'll be here listening along with you. You're up at Brisbane Airport, did you say?
Yeah, I'm just in Brizzy Airport. Sorry, I couldn't tune in somewhere a little bit quieter and with stronger connection, but just heading back to Gadigal Land in Sydney after a child protection conference here in Brizzy.
So it's National Child Protection Week at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, National Child Protection Week 2024. This year we've got the same theme that we've kept throughout the last couple of years. Every child in every community needs a fair go, but this year we've coupled it with every conversation matters.
So what does National Child Protection Week look like? What happens during that week for people that don't sort of normally come around it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it can look differently for everyone and how they engage with the week and depending on how keen they are to engage in the week. But typically for us NAPCAN staff, it's a bit busy. So we couple of webinar series throughout the week, usually 1 or 2 a day, and those tend to be on the topic. Some can be focused towards child protection or children and young people leading the way, intergenerational solidarity with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. This year, we're also looking at media dynamics and how media plays a role in child protection and ethically reporting. You know, you've got digital safety this year and how that plays young people's lives. And APES is also doing one around culturally and linguistically diverse folk in the child protection system, which is an interesting take on intersectionality and how those two marginalised worlds collide.
Incredible. And you mentioned a lot of these are webinars, so they're online, is that correct?
Yeah, so, So there's, webinars, but, you know, each state and territory tends to, again, depending on how engaged they are with the week, but they might have a child protection awards kind of dinner or kind of forum goes on, which is really nice. Just just acknowledge the system, I suppose, and the people that like work really hard on the front line to keep children and young people safe. I'm like I said, I've just come back from a conference, so some of us speak at various conferences. This one was a panel. We had some advisory council members from NICE speaking about how collaborating creates change, and how listening and understanding young people's perspectives be the impetus for change in this sector. And the child protection system, it impacts families, but the young people are really copying it. They're at the forefront of all of this abuse and neglect, and we really need to be engaging with them and asking them what they need from us in terms of how we can shift the narrative and better outcomes for them. And that's where the theme Every Conversation Matters comes into, because when you're engaging in conversations with young people, it's powerful on many levels, in your research, policy, your work, your families and your communities and your friend networks, which can be the hardest at times, those family and friendship and community networks, to engage in those conversations. And where was I going with that? But conversations is important on every on every level, because you can engage in many different ways. You can shift the narrative for someone if they're struggling with mental health and asking them how they're going okay. The other campaigns that are out there around mental health, but also in terms of engaging young people and including them and collaborating with, learning from them. I think, people think that we're doing them a solid by including them, but really, at NAPCAN, we talk and collaborate with young people where those learning future approaches and how we tackle our programs and policy decisions and our advocacy and our campaigns. It's really enhancing our future approaches in terms of conversing and understanding their experiences and what they need from our programs and our policies and processes and the like.
It's a brilliant model, and I haven't come across it very often, but I'll get you to describe it in a bit more detail. But NISO is the NAPCAN Youth Speaks Out Council, is that correct?
Yeah, NISO is our Youth Advisory Council. Our little acronym for it is NISO, but it does stand for the NAPCAN Youth Speak Out. And they are about a collective of about 17 or 18, 19 young people from across everybody, really. We have at least one person from every territory, and the members go from really remote to the CBD of Sydney. So we're really trying to, just like this Run Against Violence campaign, I guess, Kirli, because when you look at the history of Run Against Violence, you mapped it out to really understand that to start from Broken Hill and go to Sydney, covering so many different communities, and these child abuse, neglect, and domestic and family violence, they happen in every different type of community. And so we've tried to capture as many voices as we can afford, which sounds bad, but we want to be able to pay these young people and engage them properly. So that's why I use the word afford. But we really try and include as many voices as we can and consult on work internally, programs and policies, and trying to streamline our processes so that they work better for young people. But they also consult. So another NGO might come to us and be like, we've heard about this great group of young people. Can we engage with them in some way? We're doing, which has been really nice as well, to be able to provide them with opportunities outside of NAPCAN. And we also, like I said, speak at conferences, developing campaigns, just an abundance of things. We can provide as many opportunities so that it's a two-way street in terms of where, like I said, we're really benefiting and learning from them, but they really get a lot of opportunities in terms of development, education, and so many other things.
And it certainly has created a phenomenal network of young people too. I know you just referred to that, but I know if ever we're looking for people to do anything, you're the first young people to do anything. You're the first port of call, because it does create this really strong network particularly amongst young people who are wanting to be active, have a really strong sense of contributing to community or social justice and want to create a better future for others, it has become that a really phenomenally strong network for that.
Yeah, I'm so blessed to be a part of this. So many amazing young colleagues. Like I was just hearing them speak today, and they're just incredible how they articulate it. And even despite some difficult going on in their life, and how dedicated they are to advocacy and shifting the narrative for next generation and their current peers. It's one of my colleagues says necessarily always get to choose to be advocacy. It's not necessarily a choice always. Sometimes we're nudged into it. My other colleague, Leslie, says she was forced into prevention. And sometimes it chooses us. Forced because you see these things or you have life experiences which mean that you don't necessarily get to just turn a blind eye to this. And then you feel a deep sense of need to advocate for justice and anything else that comes with all the fun stuff.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's exactly been my life course. I never planned to do any of this. I didn't write on my resume or my career plan at high school. Yes, I want to become work in family violence prevention, and none of it was on my horizon until
wasn't on your mood board or anything. Your vision board.
There's a lot of moo cows and horses and things like that, but no, none of this. It was they thought that was far out enough at our school that I wanted to do agriculture, let alone if I turned up and said I want to work in family violence prevention, they wouldn't have known what to do with me. Back then, anyhow,
exactly.
They were years ago now. Absolutely brilliant. So NISO, from my understanding, also has some input into the development of Love Bites. Is that correct, or have I got my wires crossed there?
Yeah, NISO does. So NISO Love Bites has just recently gone and is currently still going through some updates. So NISO have been collaborating with the lead person who's leading those changes, and they have a say in what kind of activities are being put in Love Bites, what those activities look like, whether a video seems relevant for their peers, or if it's missing the mark, particular wording. Nice. And again, it just depends on what kind of level they're engaging with. So some will typically engage around that activity side of things or a video side. Some come into more of like the program development and really have a big say in just like how the program looks and feels.
Brilliant. And it is so important because we're not doing it all just for the sake of doing something. It's there to create lasting change. And say if it's going to land better, it's going to make more sense if it goes through that filter. And come, it just takes it to that next level in terms of its ability to be absorbed, the information, messages, etc., and actually to create change in behaviour. So it's brilliant work.
Absolutely.
It's quite a unique model, I think, and NAPCAN have done it so well, and obviously NISO, because it's only been around for about 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. It's
NISO?
new.
NISO?
Yeah, NISO.
NISO, yeah, we've started in September 2022, so we're actually coming up to 2 years now. We've got our in-person team meeting week coming up end of September, start of October, where we all come together and get to know each other as a team a little bit more, because we work so remotely, everyone these days. So just like building that team rapport, doing some consultation work on research, starting to develop some campaigns, doing like some Love Bite stuff. So again, really collaborating on doing like a whole day's worth of consultation around Love Bites and what that looks like. And just looking at our future, where we're going, where we're heading, kind of stuff. But yeah, it's super exciting.
Brilliant. Absolutely cool. Now, as you know, the theme for RAV this year is Caring Conversations. Based on what you've been hearing this last week, but also, I guess, the experience of the last 2 years, what are some tips you've got for us old folk to have caring conversations with younger people? What does it actually take to have a genuinely good conversation?
It's an interesting question because I wish there was just a one-liner that I could give you, that I could
Yeah.
gift the RAV community to be able to just go forth and do it. But unfortunately, that is not how things. And Kirli, we spent so long developing the tuned in building safer communities, building safer facilitation skills with young people set of modules, those 6 set of modules together, RAV, NAPCAN, NISO, DU, the Institute of Child Protection. And those modules really unpack in depth what it means to engage safely and effectively with young people. And it takes hours, and it actually takes a lifetime, because we're constantly evolving and things are constantly changing. Terminology is changing, and so the way that we engage with young people constantly has to be informed. So we need to be keeping ourselves informed. We need to be keeping our heart and minds really open. So yeah, I really wish that there was just a one-liner, but it's, for the Youth Advisory Council, we started it, and it was initially a 12-month term that people would join, and we got to the end of the 12-month term, and I had just been starting out as well in that kind of role, and I was like, I'm not ready to. I feel like I haven't done my job with this group properly yet, because I'm still building rapport. I'm still getting to know them. So there's a getting to know the young people factor. It's not jumping straight into it. It's like, let's get to know each other on not necessarily a personal level, because you're not always gifted that amount of time, but just sitting down with them and not jumping the gun. And just understanding that they're a human above all else. And then hopefully the consultation and all of the good feedback and collaboration will come later, once you've built that rapport and understand who they are as human beings as well, and how you can best help them as well, because it's a two-way street. So yeah, I don't know. Thought I'd give
Brilliant answer. I'll give you 5 gold stars for that one. That was bang on the money. Thank you.
I'm like, I don't know. We spent so many hours developing, so days and months and years developing these modules. I don't know if I've got a one-liner for that, but the caring conversations. The caring conversations theme that you've chosen this year, really, if I was to pick one thing, it would be that it's to go with care. And my granny always used to say, make allowances for people, because you never know what they're going through. And so sometimes it's always just reflecting on, being kind and caring in the way that we converse, and know that actually someone else could be overhearing this conversation too. I spoke at the launch about how my mum and my sister had this conversation. It wasn't necessarily directed at me, but I overheard it about, for those that weren't at the launch. But, my mum had given my sister some money. The money had been stolen. And my mum had just said, you know what, I think that person needed the money more than you or I. And in that moment, I really reflect on it. I think and I'm not saying I'm a perfect human being, but an ability to view things from a context outside of our own is really important when it comes to all of these issues, particularly when you think about, youth justice and what are the leading causes of people going into these systems. We've really got to be gentle and kind and caring in our conversations.
Absolutely perfect answer. Another 5 gold stars. And yes, your mum's rather cool, isn't she?
You're too kind to me, Kirli.
I keep setting you up for these questions, these very open-ended questions, but you keep delivering. And that exactly what you've said is what resonates through all 6 episodes of the RAV podcast this year. So we've got a mix of people with lived experience, talking about what they needed people to say and do when they were living through the abuse and violence that they lived through. And also Dr. Tim Moore, who developed the Tuned In modules, and Brenton, who is works for the DCJ. I always get that acronym around the wrong way. I have to think twice about it.
It's always changing though.
Yeah, exactly. All of them have said exactly what you've just said. So it's great that that's reinforced, that it is about approaching those conversations with curiosity, with an open mind, with trying to step off your own conversation, your own assumptions and all those sorts of things, and start with questions and pauses and silence and creating that space. They also talked, particularly Brenda and Taryn, who's in episode 1, about the need for words. And often, young people and even older people don't have the words to describe what they're experiencing. So it becomes necessary to help them articulate. That's a time process. It's a slow process. It's an exploratory process. And it's something that can't be hurried. So brilliant answer. There is no easy answer. But if it's all about that orientation and attitude that helps those conversations evolve into something that's useful for everyone. Brilliant. Hey, you've gone clear now. You've actually got some decent reception on your phone. It's all the pixelation's gone now that we're wrapping up. Brilliant.
Oh no, have I been pixelated the whole time?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It doesn't matter. All the sunshine and Brisbane hot weather, it just, stopped rubbing it in that I actually had to take my puffer jacket off to do the interview. Otherwise, it would have been just wrinkly all the time. So it's a bit cool down here again.
Yeah.
Excellent. So your favourite RAV memory?
You know what? I was thinking about this. I love RAV every year, to be honest. Hugely because me and my boss just get so competitive. And it's just a lot of fun. So me and Lisa just are so on it. And the other day, day 1 of RAV this year, I'd done my 7.2 kilometers and I finished and I texted her and I was thinking, should I text her? Because I feel like if I text her, she's going to try and one-up me. I'll text her anyway, because usually we do say, what have you done this morning? And then she replied back, that came in just before I was about to finish. So I did 7.3 and I was like, oh, so she's trying to one-up me all the time. But my favorite memory is actually getting the most kilometers in the very first year that I did RAV 3 years ago, out of all of my NAPCAN staff members, out of all of us, all of our colleagues. So I was feeling pretty chuffed about that.
Excellent. No worries. So talking about competitiveness, I'll just add to the stage here. I've actually got the map up for the two teams, the two NatCan teams. Now, NatCan team, which I'm showing at the moment, it's a 449 kilometres, which is puts you just outside of Hillston. It's a very straight bit of road going into Hillston through there. So they're there now. NISO. Let's have a look at where NISO is, shall we? Let's have a look. Back up here at Ivanhoe. 322 kilometres. So a little bit of, I don't know, kilometres be made up there at some stage, or what's the game plan?
Yeah, look, I'll have to send this to my team members afterwards, so they can. I shouldn't say anything bad, but yeah, we should be tracking a little bit better. But in our team members are struggling with they're new and they're like, what do I do? Do I upload it manually? How do I connect? So I'm sure once we get our kilometers in there, we'll be going strong.
The tech is always challenging. There's two challenges in the RAV challenge: the distance and the tech. You guys, you young folk, you should be right across that, really, shouldn't you? Really?
Yeah, I'm well accustomed to how it all works, but yeah.
Yeah, getting a team on, absolutely. Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
overwhelming at times. So thank you so
No,
much for your time, Ollie. I know you've got
thank you,
planes to
Kiralee.
catch and all. Yeah. My pleasure. And thank you for all your hard work at NISO. It really is a really amazing initiative that it's taken a lot of work to breathe life into. People see things happening now that are all functioning and wonderful, but gosh, it took a lot to get the startup happening, didn't it?
Like every
Oh, we really lost
myself
connection
too
there.
much.
Sorry, can you
Am
say
I
that
back?
again? And then you dropped out.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just saying I don't want to echo myself too much, but like I said earlier, things take time and you mess up, and you I think we get so scared of failing. Actually, it's okay. Like as long as we're giving it a go and give it time and build rapport with these young people, then things are going to work. But everything's a learning curve, like, I mean, next year it could look completely different. We might find out, that some people aren't happy, and how are we going to change? It's
Mhm.
just constantly learning. I think I've added that into actually like they are very comfortable giving criticism now. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Have a great time and have a good challenge. And we'll be watching those dots to see if NISO can catch up to the big kids. I'll see you around.
Thanks.